Welcome to Chapter 1 of Pokemon Rebirth. I hope you enjoy the video, and if you want to see more content, please like and subscribe. Chapter 1. The Cruelty of the World. A cold draft brushes against my fur. That realization alone sends a fresh wave of confusion through my already dazed mind. Blinking, I push myself up, only to hear a soft crack beneath me. My breath catches as I glance down. Shattered eggshells. Pale fragments cling to my fur, damp and fragile. I swallow hard. Did I hatch? No. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not supposed to be. Knock, knock. I freeze. The sound is slow, deliberate, the only noise in the suffocating silence. My ears twitch as I take in my surroundings. Dust coats the wooden floor. Furniture lies broken and forgotten, draped in thick cobwebs. The air is stale, thick with abandonment. This house, wherever I am, has been empty for years. Knock, knock. Someone's outside. A prickle of unease crawls up my spine. I scramble back, tucking myself behind a wooden shelf. The rickety structure groans under my weight, but I stay perfectly still, barely daring to breathe. Then, the knocking stops. Silence. A shadow moves beyond the door. The floor creaks under soft, careful footsteps. The doorknob rattles. The door creaks open. I squeeze my eyes shut, pressing myself further into the darkness, willing myself to disappear. I don't move. I don't breathe. And I pray, whoever they are, whatever they are, they don't find me. I stay frozen, barely daring to breathe. The door swings open with a slow, aching creak. A pair of heavy boots steps inside, followed by another. Then another. More than one. I press myself further into the shadows, peering through the gaps in the broken shelf. Figures move through the doorway, their silhouettes barely visible in the dim light. I can't make out their faces, but I hear them well enough, the shuffle of feet, the jangle of something metal, the low murmur of voices. One of them steps forward, kicking at the dust-covered floor. TCH. Looks abandoned. Perfect place to rest for the night, another one mutters. No one's been here for years. The third figure chuckles under his breath. Then no one's gonna mind if we stay a while. I swallow hard, my heart hammering against my ribs. Bandits. I can tell by the way they carry themselves, the roughness in their voices, the casual way they talk about taking over a place that isn't theirs. One of them moves closer, boots crunching against scattered debris. I shrink further into my hiding place, willing the shadows to swallow me whole. If they find me, I don't finish the thought. I just pray they don't look too closely. I watch, barely breathing, as two of them drop their heavy packs right in the middle of the room. Dust puffs up from the floor as they settle in, making themselves comfortable like they own the place. One of them stretches with a grunt, while the other pulls out a bundle of supplies, flint, firewood, something wrapped in cloth. They're staying for the night. I bite the inside of my cheek. That means I have no time to escape. The other bandits don't sit down. Instead, they spread out, rummaging through what's left of the house. I hear the creak of a cabinet swinging open, the scrape of something being dragged across the floor. Place is a wreck, one of them mutters from another room. Yeah, but you never know. Could be something worth talking. I press myself deeper into my hiding spot. If they start searching over here, I'm done. One of them wanders closer, stopping just a few feet away. I see their hand brush against the shelf, dusting it off as they inspect it. Please don't look behind it. Please don't look behind it. They linger for a moment, then scoff. Nothing but junk. My lungs burn from holding my breath. I should be relieved, but I'm not, because they're not leaving, and I'm trapped. A low whistle cuts through the stale air. Hey, what's this? My blood runs cold. One of the bandits crouches near the shattered eggshells, picking up a fragment between his fingers. He turns it over, inspecting it under the dim light. Looks fresh, he mutters. Real fresh. Another one steps closer. You sure? Yeah. Ain't covered in dust like everything else. My heart pounds against my ribs. I glance down at my fur. Small, damp flecks of shell still cling to me. And worse, there's a faint trail of tiny, broken pieces leading right to the shelf. The second bandit hums in thought. What kinda mon hatches out here, anyway? Wilds don't lay eggs in houses. The first one stands up, looking around. His gaze sweeps across the floor, following the trail. My trail. My breath catches as his eyes land on the shelf. Quote. Hold up. He steps closer. I press myself flat against the wall, every muscle in my body screaming at me to run, to move, to do something. But it's too late. A rough hand grips the edge of the shelf and starts to pull. The shelf shifts. Dust trickles down. My breath catches in my throat. I squeeze my eyes shut. Maybe, just maybe, if I stay perfectly still, they won't see me. Footsteps stop right in front of my hiding spot. For a moment, there's nothing but silence. Then, the hell, a rough hand grabs my scruff and yanks me out into the open. I yelp, limbs flailing as I'm lifted off the ground. My eyes snap open, locking onto the bandit holding me up. He's a scruffy-looking Pokemon, a Mightyena, maybe. No, his grip is too rough for that. A Scrafty, whatever he is, he does not look friendly. The other bandits turn to look. One of them, an Ursaring, lets out a low chuckle. Well, look what we got here. I dangle helplessly, my mind racing. I need to run. I need to fight. I need to do something. But all I can do is stare, frozen, as the Scrafty smirks. Knew something was off. Ain't every day you find a baby, mon hidden in an abandoned house. He tilts his head, examining me. So what's your deal, huh? I open my mouth, but no words come out. I don't know. The Scrafty turns me in his grip, his smirk widening as he inspects me like some kind of prize. No family around, no one coming to claim ya. His gaze flicks back to the shattered eggs. I follow his eyes, my stomach twisting. The other eggs, what's left of them, are nothing but broken shells and dust. Whatever had been inside them, they're gone. I don't know if they hatched. I don't know if something happened before I woke up. But the way the bandits look at the mess tells me everything, no one else made it. I really am alone. Well, the Ursaring rumbles, stepping closer. Looks like we got something of value after all. The realization makes my fur bristle. They're not gonna leave me here. From the way they're looking at me, like I'm worth something, like I'm worth money, I know exactly what's about to happen. We could sell him easy, another bandit mutters. Factions pay big for an Eevee. The Scrafty chuckles, his grip tightening. Or we keep him, raise him right. A rare mon like Eevee could be a valuable asset to our group. My ears flatten, my heart pounds. I need to get out of here. Now. I open my mouth, desperate to say something, anything, that will make them stop. To tell them I'm not just some helpless Pokemon, that I understand them, that I'm Eevee. My own voice startles me. High-pitched, weak. Not words, not the plea I meant to say, just a simple, meaningless cry. The bandits pause. Then, the Scrafty bursts out laughing. Oh, that's rich. Little guy's trying to talk. The Ursaring snorts. Guess he really is fresh out the egg. Barely knows what's going on. I try again, but all that comes out is another useless sound. Eevee. No words, no meaning, only the natural cry of a Pokemon. I feel my stomach drop. They can't understand me. Whatever I was before, it doesn't matter now. I'm just an Eevee to them. Yeah, we're selling him, the Leopard decides, tail flicking. Baby or not, we ain't risking this. The Scrafty adjusts his grip on me, smirking. Guess that means we just gotta find a buyer. Panic wells up in my chest. I thrash in his grasp, but his hold is too strong. My heart pounds as they start discussing where to take me, who might pay the most. They think I'm just some newborn. Helpless. Powerless. But I'm not. I have to find a way out of this. Before it's too late. The bandits don't take any chances. After some quick rummaging, they shove me into a small wooden cage, barely big enough to turn around in. The bars are thick, sturdy, no chance of squeezing through. I throw my body against them anyway, but all it does is make the Scrafty laugh. Feisty little thing, huh? He kicks the side of the cage, making me stumble. Save your energy, runt. You ain't getting out of there. They load me onto a caravan, hidden beneath a tarp to avoid prying eyes. The wagon creaks as it starts moving, rolling over the uneven dirt path. I sit there, feeling every bump and jolt, my mind racing. I don't know where they're taking me. I don't know who they plan to sell me to. But I do know that if I don't escape soon, I might never get the chance. Hours pass. The sun has started to dip when something changes. Shouting. A sudden lurch as the caravan jerks to a stop. Then, chaos. A deafening crash. Wood splintering. A sharp cry cut short. Then another. Then silence. I press myself against the bars, ears straining. The bandits aren't laughing anymore. I hear the sounds of a struggle, grunts, heavy footsteps, the unmistakable crackle of something burning. Then a voice. Cold. Steady. Take what you can. Kill the rest. My breath catches. The bandits are losing, and whoever is attacking, they're even worse. The chaos outside is deafening, shouts, clashing metal, the crackling of fire. Then, suddenly, crash. Something heavy slams into my cage, snapping the wooden door clean off its hinges. A body, one of the bandits, a Weavile, collapses against it, groaning in pain before going still. I don't wait. I run. Leaping over the shattered remains of my cage, I bolt from the wreckage, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't know where I'm going, all I know is that I have to get away. But I don't make it far. I skid to a stop, my breath catching in my throat. I'm surrounded. A group of armored Pokemon stands in a loose circle around me, their gaze is sharp and calculating. My fur bristles as I take in what they are: fighting, dark, and steel types. All of them strong against me. My tail tucks involuntarily. I know instinctively that I don't stand a chance against them. One of them, a Gallade, clad in worn but well-maintained armor, steps forward. His piercing gaze locks onto me, his expression shifting from cold calculation to something else. Disbelief. An Eevee. His voice is quiet, like he doesn't quite believe what he's seeing. I stand there, frozen, surrounded, panting from the sprint. My mind is screaming at me to run, but my legs won't move. Because somehow, I don't think these Pokemon are bandits. But that doesn't mean they're here to help me. The Gallade takes a hesitant step forward, his expression unreadable. His armor shifts with the movement, metal plates clicking softly. I've never seen an Eevee before, he mutters, more to himself than anyone else. His sharp eyes scan me, as if trying to make sense of what he's looking at. How did you get here? I want to answer. To tell him I don't know. That I woke up in that abandoned house. That I was captured, caged, almost sold. But when I opened my mouth, Eevee, that's all that comes out. The Gallade's brow furrows. You're newborn. His voice softens, almost uncertain. But why would bandits be transporting an Eevee? I take a step back, my instincts screaming at me to run. But the soldiers around me don't move. They watch, waiting for their leader to act. The Gallade slowly reaches out. It's okay, he says. You don't have to be afraid. The moment his hand gets close, something surges inside me. A strange, unnatural force twists around my body, like the very air is bending. My fur bristles, and before I even understand what's happening, I move. No, I vanish. One moment, I'm there. The next, I'm not. The Gallade stumbles forward, grasping at empty air. What? I don't stop to question it. My body moves on its own, slipping between the soldiers before they can react. My paws barely touch the ground, my body light as a whisper. Every attempt to grab me fails. I weave between their arms, slipping past them as if I'm untouchable. What's happening? One of the soldiers shouts. He's too fast. Another growls, lunging, but missing completely. Panic shoots through the group as they realize none of them can grab me. The Gallade's eyes widen. Quote ellipsis question mark quote. One of the members asks, should we go after them? The Gallade, it's not important, we were sent to attack this caravan. I don't understand it, but I don't need to. I have 12 minutes, and I'm not wasting a second. I run. Scenery change. A old village within the mountains. The flickering candlelight casts long shadows over the worn pages of the ancient book. Its leather cover is cracked with age, the spine barely holding together as the elder's trembling hands turn to the very first page. A deep breath. Then, in a voice ragged with time, they begin to read. Long ago, in the age before kingdoms, before guilds, before peace, the world was on the brink of ruin. The sky split open, darkness spilled forth, and from the depths of the distortion world, Giratina emerged. The elder pauses, running a weathered hand over the old text. The ink has faded, but the story remains. The story must be told. Giratina, the Forsaken One, sought to reshape the world in its own image, to tear down the balance set by Arceus and cast all beneath its rule. The world trembled as shadows spread, distorting land and sea alike. Hope began to wane. Until their voice grows stronger, steadier. Until the soldiers arrived. Not just any warriors, but the most adaptable, the most versatile, the most enduring species known to Pokemon. They came in all forms, some swift as the wind, others sturdy as the mountain, some striking like lightning, others flowing like water. They were Eevees in their evolutions, the strongest warriors of their time, standing united against the darkness. The elder leans back, eyes scanning the familiar words. They were more than mere fighters. They were the world's answer to chaos. For no terrain, no battlefield, no element could outmatch them. Their strength was their adaptability, their ability to become exactly what was needed, no matter the challenge. They exhale slowly, gaze lowering to the bottom of the page. And so the war began. Silence fills the dimly lit room. The elder stares at the book, at the history written before them. Then, ever so gently, they turn the page. Eevee, the most adaptable species, the greatest warriors of their time, became known by another name after the war. A dying species. The elder's voice is heavy with the weight of history. Their fingers trace the faded ink as they continue reading. They were the ones who stood at the front lines, their evolutions shaping the battlefield itself. Their fur, once white as fallen snow, became a symbol of resistance. But war does not grant mercy. By the time the final battle was won, it was estimated that only 1,000 remained. A pause. A breath. The candle flickers, casting shifting shadows across the words. Some honored their sacrifice. Memorials were built, legends passed down. Others saw opportunity, scavenging the battlefield, selling the weapons and armor of the fallen, turning their legacy into nothing more than artifacts of war. Some hoarded these relics as a piece of history. Others feared them, whispering that an EVs are weapons for war. The elder sighs, eyes darkening as they reach the end of the passage. And then, there was their leader. Their grip tightens on the book. The one who led them against the darkness, who made the final stand against Giratina itself. With a single strike, they banished the Forsaken One back to the distortion world. The flames dim, as if the room itself mourns the next words. At the cost of their own life. Silence. The elder closes their eyes, lost in thought. But the book does not end there. But war does not simply end. The distortion world had been opened, its energy unleashed. And with it came change. The Eevee who survived found themselves different. Some retained their old abilities, untouched by the chaos. Others discovered new ones, strange powers awakened by the war itself. No two were the same. Not anymore. Their voice lowers, almost a whisper. And so, the world moved on. The kingdoms rose, the guilds formed, the war became legend. They closed the book, resting a hand on its ancient cover. And the Eevee, a bitter chuckle, they became ghosts of the past. Living weapons for those hungry for power. Aurora sits across from the elder, her blue ribbons curled neatly at her sides. The candlelight flickers in her eyes, reflecting the weight of the story she's just heard. Her ears twitch, processing everything, the war, the fallen, the truth of what she is. But one part sticks with her the most. She glances up at the elder, her voice quiet yet steady. So, I'm not your daughter. The elder chuckles, the sound low and tired, but not unkind. His weathered face creases with something that's not quite sadness, not quite joy. No, he admits. You're old enough to know that now. Aurora blinks. She isn't sure how she feels about that. But before she can dwell on it, the elder leans forward, resting a gentle paw on her head. But I consider you mine. The words settle in her chest, warmer than she expects. The past may be written in stone, but the future, her future, is still unwritten. Aurora's ears lower slightly as the elder speaks, her ribbons curling inward. She knew this day would come. The village had grown quieter, the once lively faces now weary, fading. But hearing it aloud, hearing him say it, still makes her chest tighten. It's time you leave, the elder says gently, his voice warm yet firm. I love you, Aurora. But I'm old. This village, we're all standing at death's door. It will be sad, I know, but you. He places a paw on her shoulder, squeezing lightly. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't let us hold you back. Aurora swallows, looking down. But, no buts, he interrupts, his tone lighter, teasing, even as exhaustion weighs in his eyes. You've got too much spirit to stay in a place like this. Make a name for yourself. Maybe even find someone you can trust as much as you did me. Aurora meets his gaze, searching for something, some excuse to stay, some reason to argue. But she finds none. The elder smiles softly. He's already said his goodbyes. And deep down, she knows he's right. With a deep breath, she nods. Okay. The wind outside shifts, carrying the scent of something beyond this small village, something unknown, something waiting. It's time to leave. Scenery change. Nighttime forest. 2 weeks. 2 weeks of silence, of keeping to the shadows, of avoiding every Pokemon like they were a threat waiting to strike. Most of them never saw me. Most never even knew I was there. But the Zorua did. The first time I noticed them, they were just a flicker in the corner of my eye, a dark shape lingering near the berry bush I'd been using as my main food source. Small, young, probably around 5 years old, if I had to guess. They weren't hostile. They didn't approach, didn't try to steal from me. They just watched. And then they left. The next day, they were there again. And the next. And the next. We never spoke. We never interacted. But over time, something unspoken settled between us, a silent agreement. I wouldn't chase them off. They wouldn't get in my way. A neutral existence. But a part of me couldn't help but wonder. Why were they always here? The night air is thick with the scent of damp earth and leaves, the forest resting in its usual stillness. But something pulls me from my sleep, a sharp, panicked cry. My ears twitch. I know that voice. The Zorua. I jolt upright, peering down from my tree. There, beneath the berry bush, a struggle unfolds, a beedrill, its stinger glinting in the moonlight, hovers over the small, dark-furred fox. The Zorua yelps, scrambling back, but they're slow, too slow. They've already been hit. Poison. I don't think. I move. Pushing off the branch, I leap down, my paws slamming into the beedrill's body. It lets out a shriek, stunned from the impact, and crashes against a tree. I land with a rough thud, my fur bristling, my breath sharp. It doesn't get back up. Silence settles. The fight is over before it even begins. I turn, my gaze locking onto the Zorua. They're still standing, but barely. Their legs tremble, their breaths short and rapid. The wound on their side oozes a sickly purple. Poison. I don't hesitate. I rush to the berry bush, my paws sweeping through the leaves. My claws brush against something smooth and firm, a pecha berry. I pluck it without a second thought, turning back to the Zorua. Eat this. They don't move. They just stare, wide-eyed, as if unsure whether to trust me. I step closer, pressing the berry toward them. If you don't, you're not going to make it. That seems to get through. Hesitantly, the Zorua leans in, weakly taking the berry into their mouth. I watch as they chew slowly, then swallow. Now, all I can do is wait. I freeze. The moment the words leave my mouth, I realize my mistake. I didn't say, Evie. I spoke. Actually spoke. Normal words. The Zorua stops chewing, their ears perking up as they stare at me, wide-eyed. Their expression shifts, shock, confusion, maybe even a little fear. I swallow hard. My mind races, trying to make sense of it. Up until now, no matter how much I tried, my voice had only come out as the usual cries of an Eevee. But just now, when I wasn't thinking, when I was too focused on helping, I spoke like I always had before. The Zorua doesn't say anything, just watching me like I might vanish at any moment. Slowly, they finish the berry, their breathing already starting to steady. The poison's effects should fade soon. But now there's something new between us. I saved them. I spoke. And they heard me. A dark glow flickers at the edge of my vision. I barely have time to react before the Zorua lets out a sharp, strained cry, and a shadow ball rockets past me. I flinch, instinctively bracing myself. What was that for? Then, thud. I turn, heart pounding, just in time to see the beedrill from earlier crumple to the ground. It had been behind me. It was still alive. The realization makes my fur stand on end. If the Zorua hadn't acted, I wouldn't have even noticed until it was too late. I look back at them, still catching my breath. They're shaking slightly, panting, but their eyes stay locked on the fallen beedrill. Their body is still tense, like they expect another fight to break out. I swallow, my voice coming out quieter this time. You saved me. They glance at me, hesitating. Then, slowly, they nod. The forest falls silent again. The battle is over. And for the first time, we're no longer just two strangers crossing paths. The Zorua's ears twitch, their mouth opening slightly as if trying to form words. At first, it's just a soft, broken sound, half a growl, half a whimper. But then, through the shaky breaths, they manage something more. Low, lost. I blink. You can talk. They struggle with the words, their voice rough and uncertain, like they barely remember how to use it. Lost. Long. Time. I stare at them, my chest tightening. I understand them. Their words are simple, broken, but I understand. They lower their head, ears pressing flat. Family. Gone. Attacked. I run. No find them. I exhale slowly. That's why they never left the berry bush. They weren't just foraging. They weren't just wandering. They had nowhere else to go. For years. The weight of their words settles between us, heavy and unspoken. I look at them, the small, tired Zorua who had survived alone for so long. And for the first time in a while, I feel something other than fear or exhaustion. I feel understanding. The distant hum of wings sends a chill down my spine. More beedrill. I don't know how many, but it doesn't matter. One was already enough trouble. It's not safe, I say, ears swiveling toward the sound. My body tenses, every instinct screaming at me to run. We have to go, now. The Zorua hesitates, their legs still shaky from the poison, but the fear in their eyes tells me they hear it too. I don't wait. I turn and bolt into the undergrowth, paws barely touching the earth as I weave between trees and tangled roots. A second later, I hear Zorua right behind me, their breaths coming fast and sharp. The buzzing grows louder. We can't stop. We ran for what felt like hours, the darkness of the forest stretching endlessly around us. My legs ached, my breath came in sharp gasps, but I didn't stop. Neither did Zorua. It wasn't until the first light of dawn peeked through the trees that I finally saw it, a town. I skid to a halt at the tree line, chest heaving. Zorua stumbles beside me, just as exhausted. But my relief is short-lived. I can't go in like this. A lone Eevee, dirty, injured, and wandering in from the wild. It would draw way too much attention. And if word got out that an Eevee was roaming freely, I shudder to think what might happen. Panic rises in my throat. I turn to Zorua, trying to think of a plan, but before I can say anything, they jump in front of me. A faint shimmer pulses around their small frame. Their fur ripples like liquid shadow, and in an instant, they change. My eyes widen as I see not one, but two completely different Pokemon standing where we once were. Zorua activated Imposter. I glance down at myself, barely recognizing the form I now wear. It's unfamiliar, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that we're hidden. Zorua meets my gaze, their blue eyes glinting with tired determination. Safe. I exhale, forcing my heart to steady. They're right. I nod. Let's go. With the rising sun at our backs, we step toward the town. The town is just beginning to wake as we step onto the worn dirt roads. The early morning air is cool, carrying the scent of fresh bread and damp earth. Pokemon move about, shopkeepers setting up stalls, a few travelers passing through, but no one spares us more than a glance. Zorua's illusion is holding. We blend in. Still, I keep my head down, ears, or whatever this form has, trained on the sounds around us. We need a place to rest, I murmur, keeping my voice low. Zorua nods, their gaze flicking across the street, scanning the buildings. Most are homes or shops, but then, an inn. A wooden sign hangs over the door, swaying gently in the breeze. It looks old but sturdy, and more importantly, Pokemon are going in and out without much fuss. Zorua glances at me. There. I nod. We head toward the entrance, trying to act natural, even as exhaustion weighs heavy on our limbs. Just a little longer. Then we can rest. As we step inside, the air shifts from the crisp morning chill to the warm, slightly musty scent of the inn. The wooden floor creaks beneath our paws, and the soft hum of conversation fills the space. A few Pokemon are scattered around, some eating breakfast, others speaking in hushed tones over travel plans. No one pays us any mind. Good. I lead the way to the front desk, where a tired-looking Teddiursa stands on a stool, flipping through a logbook. They glance up as we approach, rubbing one eye sleepily. Need a room? They ask, voice thick with drowsiness. I hesitate. Yeah. What does it cost? Teddiursa yawns, flipping a page. Depends. One night's stay is 200 Poki. You got that? I blink. Poki. Right. I don't have anything. Not money. Not supplies. Nothing but the fur on my back and the Zorua beside me. I shake my head. No. But, is there work? Something I can do to earn it? Teddiursa scratches their ear, thinking. Then they nod toward the back. If you're up for it, the innkeeper's always looking for extra paws to help clean up. Sweep floors, wash dishes, maybe carry some supplies. You work a shift, you get a night's stay. Deal. I glance at Zorua. They tilt their head, silent but watching. I turn back to Teddiursa and nod. Deal. After a long day of scrubbing floors, carrying crates, and listening to customers grumble about their travels, I finally collapse onto a cushion in the corner of the inn's common room. Zorua sits beside me, still keeping up their illusion, though I can tell they're exhausted too. The soft glow of lanterns fills the space, casting long shadows against the wooden walls. Most of the guests have turned in for the night, leaving only a few stragglers finishing their drinks or conversations. That's when she approaches. The innkeeper. A Gardevoir. I tense as she stops in front of us, her piercing red eyes scanning over Zorua, then me. She doesn't seem hostile, but there's something in her gaze, something sharp. You did well today, she says, her voice smooth yet unreadable. Most wouldn't work as hard just for a night's stay. I nod, keeping my expression neutral. I needed it. Her eyes flick back to Zorua. Her illusion is still holding, but something in Gardevoir's expression shifts, like she sees past it. Your friend, she begins, tilting her head slightly. I can sense distress, unease. They've been through something, haven't they? I feel Zorua stiffen beside me. I hesitate. I don't know how much to say, or if I should say anything at all. But lying to a Gardevoir? Probably not the best idea. They've had a rough time, I admit carefully. Been alone for a while. Gardevoir hums softly, then turns her gaze to me. And suddenly, I feel like she's looking through me, not at me. But you, she continues, her voice quieter now. I can't sense anything from you. No emotions, no presence. Nothing. My heart skips a beat. I swallow, forcing myself to stay calm. That's weird. Her expression doesn't change. Yes, she says simply. It is. Silence stretches between us. Then, finally, she straightens, stepping back. You've both had a long day, she says, her tone neutral once again. Get some rest. We'll talk more in the morning. Then she turns and walks away, leaving me staring after her, my mind racing. She noticed Zorua's illusion, and that can only mean one thing. I'm not as hidden as I thought. The hallway is quiet as I make my way to the room. Lanterns flicker along the walls, casting faint shadows that sway with the dim light. My body is sore from the day's work, my mind heavy with exhaustion. I just want to sleep. But as I turn the corner, I stop. Gardevoir is standing at my door. She's waiting. Her red eyes meet mine, calm but unwavering. There's no small talk this time, no pleasantries. Just a quiet, measured stare. Now, she says smoothly, folding her arms, are you going to drop the illusion, or am I going to have to do it myself? My breath catches. She knows. Not just about Zorua, about me. My mind races. Should I run? Deny it? Pretend I don't know what she's talking about? But something tells me none of that will work. I stay where I am, my muscles tense, my voice barely above a whisper. What are you? I hear the soft shuffle of paws behind me. Zorua. Their steps are unsteady, their breaths shallow. I glance back just in time to see them swaying on their feet, struggling to keep their illusion up. But they're too exhausted. The shimmering veil around us flickers, then vanishes completely. In an instant, I'm back to my real form. An Eevee, standing small and exposed beneath Gardevoir's unwavering gaze. Zorua barely stays upright, their dark-furred body trembling before they collapse against me. I catch them instinctively, steadying them with my own weight. Gardevoir sighs. I thought as much. I snap my head up to her, my fur bristling. What do you want? My voice is harsher than I intend, but I'm too tired to care. She studies me for a long moment before speaking. Answers. Her voice is even, unreadable. But that can wait until morning. I tense, expecting something more, accusations, threats, a demand to leave. Instead, she turns and pushes open the door to our room. Get some rest, she says, stepping aside. We'll talk when you're ready. I hesitate. This could be a trap. A test. But Zorua is barely standing, and I'm too drained to think straight. I lower my guard just enough to step forward, guiding Zorua inside. As I pass Gardevoir, she speaks once more, her voice softer this time. You don't have to keep running. I don't respond. I just nudge the door shut behind me and let the weight of exhaustion finally take over. Lying in the dimly lit room, my mind refuses to rest. Zorua is already curled up beside me, their breathing slow and steady, finally getting the sleep they desperately need. But I can't. Gardevoir's words echo in my head. You don't have to keep running. Was that a promise? A warning? Or worse, a trap? I don't know anything about her. She could be playing a long game, letting me lower my guard before turning me in. Eevee are rare, valuable. She could easily sell me off to the highest bidder. Or maybe she wants something else. Information, leverage. And why did she act like she knew? Like she had already figured me out before I even spoke. Every instinct tells me to be cautious. But then I think about how she could have called for guards, how she could have forced me to reveal myself instead of giving me a choice. She didn't. That alone makes me hesitate. I glance at Zorua, their small body rising and falling with each breath. No matter what happens next, I can't afford to let my guard down. Not yet. Morning will come soon. And with it, the answers I need. I slip out of bed as quietly as I can, careful not to wake Zorua. My paws barely make a sound as I creep through the dimly lit halls of the inn, my ears twitching at every creak of the wooden floor. I can't shake the unease twisting in my chest. Gardevoir knows too much. If she really meant what she said, then why do I feel like I'm walking into a trap? I need to know the truth. Her room is at the far end of the hall. I press myself against the wall as I approach, my heart pounding. Light flickers under the door. Shadows move. I hold my breath, inching closer. Then I freeze. A second shadow moves across the floor, one that isn't hers. Before I can react, it rises. A towering shape unfolds from the darkness, shifting unnaturally. My fur stands on end as the shadow steps toward me. I jerk back, but it's too late. Red eyes flash in the dim light. Then, before my eyes, Gardevoir's form shimmers, melting away like mist. In her place stands something else entirely. A Zoroark. I stagger back, my breath catching in my throat. Spying on me. Their voice is low, almost amused. But there's something sharp beneath it. I can't speak. I can barely breathe. Gardevoir was never real. It was them all along. My breath is still unsteady as I stare up at Zoroark, my mind racing to process what just happened. Why? My voice is hoarse, barely more than a whisper. What do you want from me? Zoroark tilts their head, their red eyes gleaming in the dim light. There's no hostility in their expression, only something unreadable, something calculated. I just wanted to offer you a place to stay, they say, their voice smooth but firm. That's all. I narrow my eyes, my body still tense. And why would you do that? Zoroark chuckles softly, shaking their head. Because I know what it's like to be hunted. Their gaze sharpens. Just like Eevee's, Zorua and Zoroark are considered high-value soldiers. Our illusions make us dangerous. Our unpredictability makes us a threat. And that means we don't get to live normal lives. I stiffen. Something about the way they say it, it sounds too familiar. The world only sees us as weapons, they continue, folding their arms. But here, you're not a soldier. You're not a prize. You're just another traveler looking for shelter. They take a slow step forward, lowering their voice. I don't know what you've been through, but I do know this. Their gaze locks onto mine, unwavering. You can't keep running forever. The words hit harder than I expect. I don't reply right away. My instincts scream at me not to trust them, not to believe a word. But, deep down, another part of me whispers. What if they're telling the truth? I swallow hard, my voice barely above a whisper. You say that, but you must want something. Everyone does. Everyone wants something from me. Zoroark watches me carefully, their expression unreadable. For a long moment, they say nothing. Just standing there, watching. Then they sigh. You're not wrong. I tense. Of course. There's always a catch. But, they continue, what I want isn't what you think. I stay silent, waiting. I want you to have a choice. I blink. A choice. Zoroark crosses their arms, leaning slightly against the wall. You were born into this world already hunted, already marked. You didn't get a say in what you'd be. What path you'd walk. Their eyes narrow slightly. I know what that's like. Their voice is quieter now, almost distant. I had my choices stolen from me a long time ago. Something in their tone makes my fur bristle, not with fear, but something else. Something familiar. They shake their head. I don't expect you to trust me. I don't expect you to believe anything I say. Then their eyes meet mine again, steady and sharp. But I'm giving you something no one else has. A chance to decide for yourself. I stare at them, my mind racing, trying to find the trick, the hidden price, the lie buried beneath their words. But I can't. And that scares me more than anything else. The following week passes in a strange rhythm, one I'm not used to. Stability. Routine. Each morning, I wake up in a real bed, not in the woods or the back of a wagon. Zorua, who finally tells me their name is Kai, slowly relearns how to speak properly. At first, their words are clumsy, their sentences short, but they improve a little each day. They're eager, determined, maybe because, like me, they know what it's like to be powerless. When we're not working, we're training. I push myself harder than ever, knowing that peace is never permanent. I can't afford to be weak, not when I know something will come to take this from me. Zoroark, who I learn goes by Vale, trains with me sometimes. They don't go easy on me, forcing me to think, to adapt, to use every advantage I have. If you want to survive, they tell me, you need more than just luck. You need skill. You need control. And I do. Day by day, I get faster, stronger. My abilities, survivability and runaway, begin to feel like something I can rely on, not just sudden bursts of desperation. For the first time, life feels good. But I can't shake the feeling that it won't last. Because peace is never permanent. And when the time comes, I'll be ready. Half a month passes. Life settles into something close to normal, if I can even call it that. Then, one day, everything changes. It starts like any other afternoon. The town is busy, merchants calling out their wares, Pokemon going about their lives. Kai and I are helping move supplies near the inn when the first shout echoes down the street. Make way. Knights of the kingdom approach. I freeze, my fur bristling under my disguise. An army marches into town. Their banners are high, armor gleaming in the midday sun. At the front, a knight, a high-ranking one, by the way the others move around him, steps forward, scanning the town with a cold, assessing gaze. By order of the kingdom, he declares, his voice carrying over the stunned silence, this settlement is now under our control. You will submit to our rule, pay proper tribute, and follow the laws of the crown. Whispers break out. Some townsfolk look ready to argue, others just look afraid. Vale steps forward, calm but guarded. This town is independent, they say smoothly. It has no need for a ruler. The knight barely acknowledges them, turning instead to his soldiers. Seize key locations. Ensure no one leaves without our say. As the soldiers begin to spread out, I swallow hard, my heart hammering in my chest. They don't know I'm an Eevee. Not yet. I still wear the illusion Vale taught me. But if it drops, if I slip up, or if they sense something off, I don't just risk myself. I risk Kai. I risk everyone. For now, I play along. But I need to figure out what to do, fast. Panic grips my chest as I watch the soldiers spread through the town. There are too many. Too well trained, too organized. If they find out what I am, what Kai is, it's over. I turn to Vale, my voice low but urgent. We need to go. Now. Vale doesn't look at me right away. Their eyes are locked on the knight, calculating, weighing something. Then, after what feels like too long, they give a sharp nod. The innkeeper, I add quickly. We need to get them out too. Vale hesitates, just for a moment. Then they gesture for me to follow. We weave through the side streets, keeping to the shadows, avoiding the patrols. My heartbeat pounds in my ears. Any second now, someone could call out, someone could notice something off about me. The inn is close. Almost there. Then a voice shouts from behind. Hey, you! Stop. I don't think. I run. We barely make it inside the inn before we see it. Soldiers dragging the innkeeper, their form flickering, the illusion fading away. I stop dead in my tracks, my breath catching. A dragonite stands in the center of the town square, held down by heavy chains. The warm, kind innkeeper I had come to know, now exposed. One of the soldiers sneers, stepping forward. You thought you could hide forever. His voice drips with contempt. You betrayed your kingdom, and now it's time to pay with your life. Gasps ripple through the gathered crowd. Some step back, afraid. Others whisper in shock. I glance at Vale. Their jaw is tight, fists clenched. I can tell they want to move, to act, but there are too many soldiers, too many weapons drawn. I feel my claws dig into the wooden floor beneath me. My instincts scream to run, to hide, but my gut tells me that if I do nothing, the innkeeper dies. Time slows. The glow of the hyper beam surges, too fast, too powerful. No, I lunge forward, my illusion shattering around me. For the first time in weeks, I feel my real body, the small frame, the fur standing on end, the sheer helplessness clawing at my chest. But it's too late. The blast rips through the square. The air burns hot, a blinding flash consuming everything. And when the light fades, the innkeeper is gone. Not fallen, not wounded, just gone. Disintegrated. Ash on the wind. A hollow silence grips the town. The crowd is frozen, stunned. Even the soldiers hesitate, momentarily shocked by the sheer finality of it. Then, an Evie. The knight's voice cuts through the quiet like a blade. All eyes turn to me. I barely breathe. My paws tremble against the dirt. The illusion is gone. They see me. The weight of the moment crashes down all at once. I just revealed myself in front of an entire army. Something inside me snaps. I don't care anymore. They took my family. First the bandits, now this. The knight steps forward, sword raised. Capture the Evie. You're going to pay. A surge of energy explodes from within me. Survivability activates, but something is different. I don't run. I don't even think about running. Every attack they throw, I dodge. Their blades, their elemental strikes, their grasping hands, I move like instinct itself, slipping through the chaos untouched. I don't stop. I hit back. Claws rake through armor, kicks strike weak points. I'm not strong enough to bring them down, but I don't need to be. I'm everywhere, a storm they can't land a single blow on. Then, snarl. A dark wave of energy crashes into me. Pain shoots through my body, my movements stagger. I grit my teeth, trying to push forward, but the world shifts. Survivability resets. A new power surges inside me. Color change activated. I gasp, feeling my fur tingle, my body shifting, not just in color, but in form. The dark energy ripples through my body, and my brown fur fades, shifting, darkening, transforming. My limbs feel stronger, my senses sharper. I hit the ground, not as an Evie, but as an Umbreon. The soldiers hesitate. The knight's eyes widen. What? He breathes, momentarily thrown off. I feel the new power thrumming inside me, my body solid, unyielding in the dim torchlight. For the first time since this started, I smirk. The power surges through me, raw and untamed. Before I even fully grasp what's happening, my mouth opens. And a shadow ball explodes forth. The dark energy howls through the air, faster than I can react to. Faster than the Dragonite can dodge. The impact is instant. A clean, gaping hole is punched straight through their chest. For a breathless moment, there is silence. Dragonite's eyes widen, their body swaying, before they collapse. Dead. The battlefield stands frozen. Soldiers stare, their confident expressions twisting into shock. Fear. The knight, the one who ordered all this, takes a step back, gripping his weapon tighter. Impossible. I pant heavily, the energy barley pulsing inside me. My vision blurred, my body thrums with newfound strength, but there was a cost. The scene shifts. Inside the command tent, the knight sits rigid, his gauntleted hands clenched into fists. His soldiers stand at attention, tense, awaiting orders. Before him, an artist Pokemon carefully sketches on parchment. The dim candlelight flickers, casting long shadows as the strokes take form. An Eevee, small, unassuming, but unmistakable. Make sure it's accurate, the knight growls, his voice cold with barely contained rage. That thing is not just an Eevee. It's dangerous. The artist nods hurriedly, adjusting the shading, adding the sharp, almost intelligent look in the eyes. The knight leans back, arms crossed. Wanted alive, he commands. 500,000 Poke reward. Murmurs ripple through the tent. 500,000 Poke. For an Eevee, he doesn't care what they think. He saw what happened. He saw that Eevee change. Saw it kill a Dragonite in a single blow. That thing is no ordinary Pokemon. He turns to another soldier. And the Zorua. The soldier shifts uncomfortably. 20,000 Poke. The knight's fingers drum against the table. They're a package deal. His voice drops lower. Find them. Before anyone else does. The artist finishes the sketch, handing over the parchment. The knight takes one last look at it. Then he stands, posted in every town, every guild, every bounty office in the kingdom. The hunt has begun. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please like and subscribe. See you next time.